One more quick story. Ron Paul has made the absurd claim that if heroin was legal, nobody would use it. Just nobody, people would stop using it. Let's take a listen to what he said and see if we can make heads or tails out of it. And get your opinion, Lewis. Is he right? I think it's a completely ridiculous claim. Here we go. I think we have.
Well, Ronald Reagan ran 3 times. Maybe this will be the one for you. But here, this has been a sticking point about how far you go with your libertarianism, sir. Here you were talking about heroin use last week on Fox News. Let's watch your question and answer to you.
Are you suggesting that heroin and prostitution are an exercise of liberty?
Well, you know, I probably never used those words. You put those words someplace. But, yes, in essence, if I leave it to the states, it's going to be up to the states. Up until this past century, you know, for over 100 years they were legal. What you're inferring is, you know what? If we legalized heroin tomorrow, everybody's going to use heroin. How many people here would use heroin if it was legal? I bet nobody would put the hand, oh, yeah, I need the government to take care of me. I don't want to use heroin, so I need these laws.
Yeah, so, of course, the fact that people in the audience don't voluntarily raise their hands to say they would use heroin, that proves no one would use it, right? The same way that if you just were to ask, who here would commit a crime if you knew you wouldn't get caught? See, nobody raised their hands. Nobody would do it. I think it's an absurd case to be making, and honestly, I don't even think Ron Paul believes it. I think he just has backed himself into a corner where he needs to cling to this free market gospel and the hatred for the federal government so much that he needs
to be completely ridiculous and over the top.
He's almost forced himself into having to make these arguments. Exactly.
Well, this is quite the corner he's backed himself into then, because this is just so over the top.
I mean, there is this argument to be made for the legalization of some drugs or marijuana, and you can make that argument under the assumption that they are going to be used, right? But can you really say that teenage drug use would not skyrocket if heroin were just sold at Target? How could he possibly make that claim?
What, does he want the government taxing legal heroin? Or as Chris Matthews calls it, heroin?
Heroin, yeah, that was weird. Chris Matthews with a weird pronunciation there. And then this leads us to other ridiculous, this kind of free market gospel taken to the extreme. It takes us to, well, listen, we don't really need the Civil Rights Act because it's 2011. We have a black president and nobody would ever do anything that's racist or discriminatory based on race, so we can get rid of the Civil Rights Act too. I mean, that would be ridiculous. I think. Of course, Rand Paul maybe doesn't think that.
Good point.
I really just don't think Ron Paul believes this. I think on one hand, he's backed himself into a corner with it where he kind of has to maintain this free market persona, but I think he also thinks it'll help him raise money or publicity, or follow-up interviews, which it did in this case. I mean, Chris Matthews is asking him about it.
Oh, yeah. This is good for follow-up interviews, but you know what? I don't think he's a bad guy. I respect the guy. He's got some crazy views, but he has no chance.
No, he has absolutely no chance. And, of course, we also heard that Donald Trump will not be running. So after all, and me getting countless pieces of hate email saying I don't understand that Donald Trump is in the running and he's doing great and blah, blah, blah. He's not even running.
Because he knows he has no chance.
Yeah, absolutely.